Hi, in this video, we're going to factor 18b squared minus 53b plus 20 using the AC method. Now, just like with all factoring, we always start by looking for a greatest common factor. In this case, there is no number that goes into 18, 53, and 20 other than 1, so we don't have a GCF that's useful. Given that, we're going to jump straight into our AC method. Now, the AC method says that we're going to find the A value and the C value, and we're going to start by multiplying those two things together. So A times C is equal to 18 times 20, which comes out to be 360. We're also going to figure out what is our B value. Now, our B value is negative 53. Notice that we do include the negative because that tells us what sign it is because of subtraction. So now our B value is negative 53. Our goal is now to find two numbers that multiply to 360 and to add to negative 53. So one of the things we got to recognize is that when we're making our chart of things that multiply to 360, we want them to multiply to positive 360, but we want them to add to negative 53. If two numbers multiply to a positive but add to a negative, that means they are both negative numbers. So when we fill in our chart for 360, instead of doing 1 times 360, we're going to do negative 1 times negative 360. And instead of 2 times 180, we're going to have negative 2 times negative 180. Negative 3 would be times negative 120. Negative 4 is times negative 90. Negative 5 is multiplied by negative 72. Negative 6 is multiplied by negative 60. Negative 7 does not go in evenly to 360, so we will skip that. Then we have negative 8 is multiplied by negative 45 to get 360. And while there are more numbers that can go into this chart, we're going to stop here because we see negative 8 plus negative 45 equals the negative 53 that we have in our B value. So now we know how we're going to split our trinomial. So remember, these numbers tell us how we're going to break up that middle term. So we're going to start by carrying down that 18b squared, and we're also going to carry down the 20. But then we're going to split the minus 53b into two pieces. Again, this comes from our chart on the side. The negative 8 and negative 45 tells us we're going to have minus 8b and minus 45b. And always make sure that you put a plus sign in that spot there, even after you do your split, to make sure that you're showing that you're adding that 20 at the end. So now we're going to factor this by grouping. So that means we're going to look at the first two together and the last two together. What can we pull out of both 18b squared and minus 8b? Well, we can pull out a 2 and a b. So when we pull out a 2b, 18b squared becomes 9b. And we have minus 8b divided by 2b is 4. When we look at our next set of numbers here, our next two terms, negative 45b plus 20, I know I can pull a 5 out of both of those things. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to pull out a negative 5. If the leading coefficient, the leading term is negative, then you'll want to pull a negative out. You always want the first thing in the parentheses to come out to be positive. So if I pull a negative 5, that leaves me with 9b minus 4 in my second set of parentheses, which actually means our two parentheses match, which is a great sign because when they match, I can say, okay, I can pull a 9b minus 4 from here and from here. So I can say, well, 9b minus 4 factors out. And I'm left with 2b minus 5 once I factored the other part out. And there we have it, a completely factored trinomial using the AC method.